Welcome to another great story with your host, Nick Sandeno, brought to you by The Village Christian Church. Do you know any great stories? We sure do. And we can never find enough time on a Sunday morning to tell them all. Here at Another Great Story, we tell the truth about where life change, life growth, and life purpose meets our everyday life, with the hope that you might experience God in your story.
Welcome back to Another Great Story. I'm your host, Nick Sandeno. Joining me today is our youngest guest that we've ever had on the show, and happens to be somebody I'm pretty familiar with, my daughter, Bennett Sandeno. What do you think, Benny?
I don't know. I'm pretty excited.
Pretty excited?
Yeah.
How many episodes of Another Great Story have you listened to?
I've listened to one by myself, and then I listened to the Scott Spezia one with you.
Oh, yeah. We listened to a couple of them.
Yeah.
And then you listened to just the one the other day of
B.
Aunt B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brittany
Brittany.
is what the audience would, if they follow, would know her by.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You nervous?
A little bit. I don't want to run out of things to talk about.
Oh, no, that never happens. So we've got all kinds of time on this. Tell us a little bit about yourself if anybody doesn't know who you are.
I'm 14. I'm a freshman at Morris High School. I play volleyball, and I'm the oldest.
Oldest of?
Four girls.
4 girls. What's that like?
It's like, I'd say it's fun. Like, I wouldn't like to be any other spot in the 4, but also, like, it's probably more stressful than being, like, Collins.
Yeah.
Youngest.
You wouldn't trade Collins? You wouldn't take the youngest role?
Youngest is the only one I would maybe trade, but I wouldn't want to be one of the middle ones.
But it's also, she's the most like you.
Yeah.
Can you tell that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is similar in Collins that you see in yourself?
I think she does a lot of things that are just like me that aren't really like personality traits, but just like funny things. Like she like was sleeping the other day and she stuck her foot out the side of her bed, or she like flipped over and slept the other way. And I always do that when I can't sleep.
Yeah. And you guys are roommates, which is unconventional.
Yeah.
So in our house, the 14-year-old and 5-year-old are roommates, soon to be 15 and 6. And then the soon to be, what are they? 12 and 10.
10 and 13.
10 and 13. Sorry, Jetter. Soon to be 10 and 13-year-old room together. So, and that works out pretty good.
Yeah.
You wouldn't trade it right now?
No.
Because, I mean, you have to move out in 3 years now.
I have to.
Have to. Gone,
Okay.
And then she gets her own room.
Oh.
And we'll sell the bunk beds and get her like a queen.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Because she's the youngest. What's it like? So I think this is a question. You have made more appearances than probably any of your sisters in any sermon I've ever given. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that uncomfortable?
No. I can only think of one sermon that you were going to use an example of. And honestly, it wouldn't have been that uncomfortable, but like something had like happened and you're like, can I put this in my sermon? Like the week it happened, I was like, not yet.
No, it was a little too fresh.
Yeah.
And that was fair. Like if it's borderline, that's one thing I bring to you, you know, and ask. I try to do the same with Mom, but whenever you guys are incorporated, it's always on the up and up.
Yeah, the stories usually aren't like I don't usually feel called out.
No.
No.
I'm never like, do you ever have to parent some real difficult kids? Well, let me tell you. Stuff like that.
No.
So what's it like, you've never not been a preacher's kid?
Yeah.
And that's a term. Like, is that a term that you've joked around with other friends at camp about?
Yeah, I always say pastor's kid or PK.
PK. Yeah. What do your friends think of that? What's that like from your perspective? You've never known anything else, but what's it like being my kid? Careful. We'll edit this.
My friends don't really mind. Like, I don't usually get, like, anything from my friends because they're all just like, well, that's just Nick, and, like, Nick takes us to church. And so they're all like, the most comments I've ever gotten is when, like, high school started this year, and we combined with other, because at my school, it was, like, 100 kids that you've been in school with for 8 years. And so they were all like, well, yeah, it's Bennett. Her dad's a pastor. Like, her parents are strict. But then, like, when I started at this school, like, that was just, like, I don't know. It didn't really bother me there. And then, like, starting high school, we combined with other schools. And I would even have, like, ICS kids who, like, go to a Catholic school who'd be like, are you just going to, like, go to church all the time and you only have church friends? And so I got more comments, like, starting this year, just because, like, it's an easier thing to pick at than maybe people would think.
Sure. What's the earliest memory you have of our church?
I remember being at the school, and I remember, like, 3 things from there. I remember when we had tamales, and I tried to eat, like, the corn, and you were like, you can't eat the corn part of it.
The husk.
Yeah.
I did that once, too. That's pretty embarrassing.
And then I remember getting lost in, like, the library at the school with Whit Wyndham, and then I remember one class I had when we had jelly beans, and that was supposed to be the prize, and I don't even like jelly beans. Like, what kind of prize is this, Carol, or whatever her name was? I was like, what are we doing? This is not a prize.
Well, okay, so 2016, we moved into the building. You're going to be 15 years old, so we go back 9 years ago. You were there till you were 6 or 7. You were 7, I think, when we moved into the building.
Yeah.
Because your 2010 April birthday, we moved in Memorial Day, so I should have had that math ready. You were like a 6-year-old?
Yeah, I think, because Vale was 2, so I would have been 7.
Yeah. And Vale was 2. Right. Yeah. What do you remember about that? I mean, you spent a lot of life over at the junior high, and that was the church that we went to.
Yeah. I don't really remember going to church there much. Like, I remember, like, some parts of it, and I remember, like, walking up into the school, but I never really thought of it as a school. Like, I just thought, like, that was my church. And then when we moved here, I remember, like, building it, and then I remember just, like, it felt pretty comfortable pretty quick. Like, it was, like, a couple days that I was like, this isn't, like, my church. And then it was, like, well, we come every week. So it was just, like, it was just, like, it felt like the village.
Yeah, coming here to the building.
Yeah.
There was something, so I don't know if you remember this. We didn't have, when we moved in, my timeline's going to get all messy here. When we moved into the church building here on Bell Road, we were moving really almost at the same time out of the big farmhouse that we were renting out in the country and where we had lived for 2 years. And we were moving into the townhouse in Morris, which was pretty small. We had you 3 girls in one of the bedrooms. And we spent a lot of time here because we had space.
Yeah.
And we had a key. And it was like so new and so fun. But I want you to think a little bit and go ahead and be as honest as you can on this. But like, what's your favorite part of the church? Or what's your favorite part of the church?
I think my favorite part is, like, the community that's come with it, because, like, there's so many, like, I think about a Sunday morning, I'm, like, very, like, touchy, and so I'll just, like, not, like, emotionally, like, I mean, like, I'll, like, hug everybody, so I, like, would walk around, and, like, everywhere I look, there's, like, somebody that, like, I love their kids, or, like, they've, like, influenced me, or, like, they're, like, fun to be around, and I just, like, it's just, like...
Who are some of those people?
One of the people I always make sure to see is, like, Sarah Wyndham, and then there's, like, families I wouldn't have expected, like the Olbrats, or, like,
that you wouldn't have expected to be so excited to see.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't have thought I'd be so happy to see, like, those little boys, like Connor and, whatever the other one's name is.
That's okay.
Bryce.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of special. And all of a sudden, like, these were folks that we saw once in a while that now they feel like part of our life. Who's somebody else that feels like that? Or do you remember, like, one of the earliest memories of making one of those relationships that you looked forward to seeing on a Sunday?
I remember somebody who surprised me when I was younger was Mason Neary.
Yeah.
Because I remembered, like, all the Pulse students, and, like, all of them, like, I guess I didn't think of them as Pulse students until this year. I just thought they were people that were, like, always there. And so, like, I knew, like, Kayla and Alex and Adie and Caden. But then, like, Mason started coming, and then, like, Maddie and...
Maddie Neary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mackenzie Pilch and her sister Mackenzie Pilch. And
yeah. I just like loved those people, and I didn't really think of them as like teenagers until recently, but like they were like I was just excited to always like see them and play with them after service.
Right. Yeah, I mean, really early on, you were excited to start coming to church early. Like you were up for waking up early, and now it's a rotation. Like now you have to share because Jet likes it, Vale likes it, or we just have to take multiples of you. But it's an early. We've added 8 a.m. So just yesterday, you woke up at. Do you know what time I woke you up?
Like 6:45.
No, no, I woke you up at like 6:15. I don't even think.
6:15.
Yeah.
Because we left at 6:45.
We left at like 6:45.
Yeah.
We were on the road.
You woke me up and you're like, we have 30 minutes. And then you waited in the car as I got ready because I was going too slow.
Well, you weren't going that slow. I just had to get all my stuff out there. And it wasn't like a threat to leave you, like an idle threat.
I like the quicker mornings, though.
Yeah.
I like getting ready quick for church because I don't really have to think about it too much.
There's something when you get used to coming to all of a Sunday morning that it's hard to come to one. You feel like you're missing something.
Yeah. Because I started going when I don't have anything else to do and I just come to like all 3 services, then I would rather just go to 1 or 2. But I like having like first service I sat in there with Carter and Brady and them and just like hung out while they did their work. And then second service I always attend, and then I sat with Addie. And then third service I helped in the preschool room, but usually I would help in Pulse class. So it's nice to have like to break it up and feel like I can help.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Jet, like our 7th grader, and she was supposed to serve in Kid Village, and that was like a substitute role because we were thin on spring break weekend. Yeah. And you covered it. You covered it very graciously. Like I didn't even have to twist your arm, ask for a favor. You're like, I can do that so Jet can stay at her aunt's sleepover. And I thought that was really sweet of you.
Well, because they were going to pick her up from church, and she would have just been like upset and not have done it. Yeah,
so she was going to go to like 1 service at Seneca, maybe, not even.
Yeah.
And then have to get picked up early. She would have been grumpy.
Yeah, because they like went to York. This doesn't really have to do with anything, but they like hadn't really done stuff the night before, and so she would have just been like, felt like
she would have missed out with her aunt. But it was compassionate. That's not always been our first instincts as people are not always to be compassionate to our siblings or our people closest to us. Like that's been a hard change. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that?
I think like the older I get and like the more like I deal with things, I like see the girls dealing with the things I did. And so it's like weird to see Vale or Jet do things that I did, or like Jet will deal. I made it worse.
Sorry.
Like I don't know. Jet was dealing with like she just felt like she had so much on her plate because she like does all the things. And, like, a little bit of me was like, I told you not to do all the things because I did all of them in 6th grade. And then it just worked out for you in 6th grade. And now you're dealing with it. But then also, like, none of them were bad things to do. So it was just, like, I felt bad for her about some of that.
Yeah. So she was in musical. She was in volleyball. She went from softball to basketball to volleyball to musical. Never came home on time all year. Like, this is the first time. And I thought that was really compassionate. It's just not always an easy thing. So if your favorite part is community, where do you serve? And what's it like serving as a freshman in high school? Like, I don't think that's common for many freshmen to serve at their local church.
Yeah. I've always really wanted to, like, worship or work with kids. And Kid Village hasn't really been, like, my place. Like, I don't really love working down there. Like, I always have fun when I end up doing it, but it's just not something I would reach for all the time. So I started going into the Pulse class, and I'm a freshman, so some of those kids are just a year younger than me. So I don't, like, teach it, but either Whit or Connor will teach, and it's just, like, I think I just sit in there to just, like, be around it, because I would like to do that eventually. And so it's just, like, that's just feels like a good way for me to, like, still be involved.
Yeah. Tell us about worship, though. What's that like, worshiping at 14 years old?
I've always really wanted to That's why I would come.
So what is
early.
it? Set it up for somebody who doesn't know, like, your perspective on worship.
Okay. Worshiping, I don't really know how to explain it. It feels like the most, like, freeing thing. Like, it's always good to, like, I feel like worship on a Sunday morning will, like, get me, like, ready for a message, because I just, like, worship makes me, like, I don't know, feel it more. And then, like, after a message, it's, like a message is always, like, I think supposed to be, like, more convicting. And then, like, singing just, like, almost, like, lets it out, if that makes sense.
Ooh, I really like that. Like, it's almost like it closes the door, like, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I like that. And so worship started as something that you really liked, like, as a really, really little girl. My favorite, we're not big concert-going people, and you already know what I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
You know, we're not huge concert-going people, but we were big fans of All Sons and Daughters, which were just a couple people that sang the most beautiful harmonies. And we got, I don't know where we got that CD. If we got it here or if I burned
From
one.
Grandpa, maybe.
Or maybe Grandpa got it. I know we got one for him at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he got it for us or we got it for him. But we listened to that thing on repeat.
Yeah.
All the time. And you loved it and you knew every word and you would sing all the different parts. And so when Mom was pregnant with Vale, oh, my brain. So almost 10 years ago, when you were 4, turning 5, we left Jet home because she was only 3. We took you to a concert in Chicago, and you would have been 4. Yeah, and Jet would have been 2. And so we were on the way, and there was a big accident on the highway, on the interstate, and you had no idea how late we were. But then in the accident, it was for your birthday present,
Yeah.
which is April 8th, which is coming up just a couple weeks away, week and a half away. So it was right around this time of year. We were going to Chicago. Big accident, slowed way down in the road, and we're listening to the CD the whole way there. Super excited. You're over the moon. We've got video of you responding when we told you we were going to this concert.
Really?
Yeah. Somewhere on one of our phones. And then what happened was, like, we were so late getting there, and then your mom was 3 weeks out from her due date and had never gone into labor, always had scheduled deliveries for C-sections, and she started having contractions, and I thought she just had, like, an upset stomach.
I did not know any of this.
Oh, my goodness. And so I thought she was, like, uncomfortable and was just, like, pregnant, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But she was contracting, and it was a little stressful because we were in park on the highway, and everything that felt like it could go wrong went wrong. So we get there to the show, and we get up into some seats that seemed too far away, and that's fine. And they sang 3 songs.
I just remember not, like, I obviously didn't know what they looked like because we've only ever listened to them. And so I was like, who are these people? And you're like, that's them, Bennett. And I was like, no, it's not. He has long hair or something.
Right.
Like, it just, like, wasn't what I pictured them to look like.
Right. Yeah, and then they had their pastor with, and he talked a bunch. And it's like, I just want this to be perfect for my 4-year-old, for her 5th birthday. Like, I just want this to look perfect. And it was 3 songs, and you were like, that was fantastic. That was just the best. And I'm like, no, Bennett, we drove what ended up being 2.5 hours to get to 3 songs. And then they're like, hey, we're going to break this down, and we're just going to mingle with the audience, because it was like a small venue comparatively. Yeah. And so they would, like, do a Q&A on the stage. And I was like, what is my 5-year-old going to do at a Q&A at 9 o'clock at night? It felt like a failure. But you always had that attitude. You were like, we listened to it on the way home till you fell asleep. You were just content with 3 songs. The first time we took you trick-or-treating, you don't know this either. The first time we took you trick-or-treating, you missed, like, we went out too late. We didn't realize it was like a scheduled time. And so we went out. It was like, trick-or-treating was like 4 till 6 or something. Yeah. We went out at like 6. And the first 3 doors you went to, nobody answered. And you finally got to a door where somebody answered, and they gave you like 2 pieces of candy, and you were like, it worked. It was great. Like, this was fantastic. And I was like, this was a disaster. We failed you. Like, first child, like, failure things. But anyway, I wonder, like, how much of your interest in worship was born there?
Yeah.
You know, like in those little moments?
Yeah, I wonder. I really like listening to those songs now, too. But, like, I don't think I realize this, but I like, I'm not very good at singing harmony, but, like, I learned how to sing harmony with those songs. So, like, I can sing, like, the different parts of, like, those couple songs that I always listen to. And, I don't know, that was really special to me. And then, like, there's a couple other songs, and I remember we'd hear those at church sometimes, and that was, like, exciting. Like, we sang, like, You Say at church one time, or maybe it was Reckless, or not Reckless.
Like Reckless Love?
No, I think it was, like, what's that one that's, like, I Will Rescue You, or whatever it is?
Oh.
It was, like, some Lauren Daigle song.
Yeah, we might have done, like, something special somewhere. But what that grew into was doing worship at student ministry.
Yeah.
Where you actually are up there with a bunch of students now.
Yes.
And I mean, shout out to Connor Erzog, who's a great drummer.
Yeah.
And he's all of a sudden come along. And Carlos, who had been in our student ministry, he's an adult now, but plays acoustic for you guys sometimes. And Dom, who's playing electric and coming along in that. And a whole bunch of you guys that are singing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been pretty special. Do you recognize that, like, you're leading? Like, is your goal, what's your goal up there on stage? And where do you get the courage to go up on stage and sing like that?
I've thought about this a bunch because I think I just have to, like, explain it. I've always, like this is why I wanted to come to church early, is because I'd sit in that chair and I'd watch them rehearse. And I remember I would try to, like, sing loud so that they could hear me. And I always was just, like, I guess I never really thought about it much. Like, I just, like, I like to sing. And then I was, like, Vale, and I, like, wanted people to notice that I would sing. And I, like, remember I would sing after the rehearsal just by myself. I would just go sit and, like, sing, like, Hills and Valleys. And this one lady, and I don't even know her name, actually, but she came over to me, and she's like, I heard you. And I was like, yeah? And she's like, yeah, you're good. You should do it again. And I sang for her. And
oh, I do remember this.
She was like, you could sing, like, with us one day. And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's, like, what kind of, like, I don't know, like, sparked it almost. And I don't know. This is always, like, it feels like I'm at where I've always, like, wanted to be. Like, I've always wanted to sing at Pulse or, like, on a Sunday morning. And I remember I sang with you one day in Seneca, and then Sarah came up to me and was like, would you sing with us at a Sunday night? And I remember how it felt when I was, like, singing the melody because I didn't know how to do anything else, and I was singing it, like, with Sarah, singing lead. And so I would wait for her to start singing until I did, so I wouldn't start first and, like, started at the wrong time. So I'd always wait for her to start, so then I would. And I just remember, like, I was just scared I would mess up, or, like, scared it wouldn't sound how it's supposed to. And then, like, the more I did it, obviously, the more comfortable I got. And now we have these new girls that are singing. And sometimes the ones that are singing melody will do that with me, and they'll wait for me to start and then start. And I have to, like, my first reaction is always, like, sing it when it starts. Like, just sing it like how you would normally sing. And then I was like, well, they don't want to mess up the same way I didn't want to mess up. So it feels, like, really different that it switched to where, like, I'm showing them how to do it.
Why does that make you feel things?
I don't know. Because, like, it's, like, it's very much, like, what I've, like, wanted to do my whole life. And, like...
But what?
Like, there's no but. Like, it's just really, like, a good... And it's what these, like... And it's, like, really special to me that I get to, like, show these girls how to do it.
Are you surprised that it's happening at 14?
No. 14 was always when I wanted to do it. I was surprised when I did it at, like, 12 that one time.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. It feels like where I should be. And then it's, like, it's really nice to have these girls, like, want to do it. Like, it's fun to watch them.
Do you notice, is there something weird? You bring a ton of friends to Pulse, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, not just that you bring, but that have been invited by you. And it's been really nice to have like Morris boys now that come, like Grady or Brady or Alex, or like this other group of like Minooka boys with Whit and Jackson and Connor, and I don't want to leave anybody off. There's so many neat kids like at student ministry, but you've had this like neat group of friends. Is it weird or is it like special that you lead your friends in worship? Is it both?
It's both. Because they really like to listen to me. So, like, even when we're worshiping together, like at camp or anything, they'll always be like, oh, I hear you. And that's kind of weird because, like, when I'm worshiping, like, it obviously feels different on stage versus, like, not on stage, because on stage it's, like, it shouldn't be a performance, but, like, I'm, like, I still want it to, like, sound good. But when I'm just, like, worshiping down there, I don't really care how it sounds or looks.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, when they still notice, that's where it's a little weird because I'm worshiping for myself and not, like, to show other people how to.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to have, like, shown girls what worship can be. Because a lot of these girls, like,
this is their
have
first
no
taste
idea.
of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're their first taste of a worship service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, there's some things that, like I don't really want it to be about me, like, when they're, like, or cheer for me or video me. But, like, it's, like...
You feel responsible? Or do you feel a burden?
No, not about singing. But I do, like, feel responsible for some things with my friends.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. A lot of my friends...
But let me change it, okay? Think about that answer.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt you because you're going somewhere good. But we've talked about all the things you like about it. You love worship, love working with Sarah Wyndham, love having your friends here, love community, seeing Maddie, Ben, Bo, now Abby's over at Seneca, and now like Joey's here every week serving in student ministry. Rochelle's been in your life, Carter, Caden. I mean, the list goes on, and that's just like a very tip of the iceberg on how many people you see.
Yes.
Like, there's so many fun things here, and it's fun, and it's like a great environment. Like, you're always excited to be here. It's wonderful. But what's really hard about not church, but about following Jesus at 14 years old and the responsibility that you feel as a result of it? Is that too much?
No. I think the hardest thing for me is, like, making sure I'm the same at church as I am at school or, like, with my friends. Like, that's something I've had to, like, think about is, like, and I've always been, like, self-aware, but, like, I've not always been self-aware, like, with a purpose almost. Like, I've not always been, like, I've always been, like, aware if I'm, like, I don't know, like, gossiping or, like, talking differently. But, like, I've been trying more recently to, like, think about what would lead them the right direction instead of just, like, yeah, I go to church, but also I'll gossip with you about these random people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's like...
Did somebody call you out on that, or is that just, like, the Holy Spirit convicting you?
No, I remember one time, and it was because of, like, who they were making fun of, and it just, like, I was at lunch, and they started, like, making fun of this boy who is a little bit special, and he wouldn't have known, like, why they would make fun of him. And I was like, that's too bad. We probably shouldn't pick on that. And they were like, Bennett, you would always pick on him with us. And I was like, my reaction was like, well, not him. It was just like, it shouldn't be not him. It should just be like, I don't want to pick on people with my friends.
Right.
So, like, they weren't really, like, calling me out, but, like, they were, like, saying, like,
you saw something.
Like, yeah.
And it felt yucky.
Yeah.
All on your own.
Yeah.
It's weird what the Holy Spirit does sometimes. And that's been weird to see as a dad. Like, when you look at watching you girls have to process on your own some of those things, or feel like a hunger for things. When I say a hunger for justice, I don't mean it like Batman. I mean it like a hunger for things to be made right.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that with Jet. Like Jet and I talked about some things. Actually, Vale and I were talking about some things this week, and Jet fired up, you know, about that's not right. I don't like that, you know. It's a weird thing to watch you girls have to process how different you are from the world around you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And we've told you that a long time. Do you remember how we used to say that?
No.
No? Like we used to tell you at some point you're going to feel like the weird one for what you believe and how different you are from the world around you. You don't remember that?
No.
We used to talk about it a lot when you were little because it was so like everything was happy. Like, and I don't mean like that's bad, but it was like, hey, just so you know, like you're going to have to guard your heart a little bit, you know, because someday you're going to be really tested to be set apart. And I think freshman year, 8th grade year, those 2 years have been so trying to watch you reconcile following Jesus while having to walk into a place that it's really hard to do so every day.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's been made more aware to you than ever before.
Yeah.
You know? But it's also been good. No?
No, it's been good.
Do you think?
Yeah. I think I've grown a lot because, like, at White Oak, where I went to school until 8th grade, I wouldn't say easy to, like, be a Christ follower, but it was easier. Like, it was, like nobody really was. Like, there was, like, a handful of people who had good homes, and then there's, like, these girls that, like, started to understand, and it just felt like more, like, people would see, like, people started wearing, like, what would Jesus do bracelets because they were like, well, the girls that go to Pulse wear those. And they was like, are you going to Pulse this weekend? Can I go to Pulse with you?
Oh, it became a thing.
And it was like
to be a part of.
Yeah, like all the
Was
girls
that a
were
good
like,
way?
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, some of it, like, I just want them to be, like, really authentic and, like, actually know and not just, like, want to go and, like, want to wear the bracelets. So
Sure.
that kind of, like, would annoy me. But, like,
there was like a hunger for authenticity.
yeah.
So here's what's funny. Like from my seat on this, not just as dad, but as like somebody in ministry, is you want authenticity in your friends, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the very thing that you're most convicted about personally is authenticity.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the same person on a Sunday night as I am on a Monday morning at school. And at 40 years old, I feel the same thing.
Yeah.
Like at 40, I'm still going, I want to be the same guy here on the podcast as I am in the office, as I am at Jewel, as I am on a Sunday morning preaching. I just saw a guy yesterday that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I remembered him, and he remembered me, and I was like, hey, man, still doing this? And he's like, no, I actually changed careers. I'm doing this now. And I was like, wow. He's like, I meant to say something to you when I saw you at Walmart the other day. And I was like, I don't even remember being at Walmart. He's like, you were walking so fast with your head down. He's like, I couldn't even, I yelled your name. You didn't even hear it. He wasn't like mad or hurt feelings, but I thought, I couldn't believe how distracted I was that I had this opportunity to connect with a guy I hadn't seen in a while. And I just thought, like, I don't think anybody ever yelled Jesus' name and he missed it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I had this whole like, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, you must have just been in a hurry. And I was like, yeah, but I probably did have 5 minutes to say hi.
Yeah.
You know, I probably did have 5 minutes, and I just didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the truth was, I was probably walking fast with my head down because, you know, you're going to see somebody at Walmart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that I don't think that ever goes away.
Yeah.
You know, you're always walking this, like I know what God's calling me to, but I know what's next, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a tough balance. You've had a real blessing with some friends that you've been able to introduce a Christian community to and Jesus to. That's been pretty neat. Like, do you recognize how special that is?
Yes, but I do think I see it differently than other people do. 'Cause, like, I'm really grateful for the people that, like, worked out. But then there's people that, like, I, like, invested so much in and, like, worked so hard to, like, give them a community. And then, like, when they don't, like, respond the way I thought they would or the way they said they would, it, like, kind of makes me think differently about it.
Does it make you want to quit?
No, but it makes me want to quit with, like, them. Like, it makes it really hard for me to keep reaching out to them.
Yeah. What, there's something, it's neat that you're processing that at 14, because I hope you figured it out before I did. But I felt like it was make or break on my back if somebody understood how much God loved them and if they could respond to it. And it's taken a long time to see that, like, God's timeline is just way different than mine. Like, and he's not finished yet. Like, I don't know how the rest of the story is yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's not written yet. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I've said this twice today. Like, and so instead, like, I'll do for one what I wish I could do for all, you know? Like, whoever's in front of me, like, I'll serve them the way I wish I could serve everybody. And whatever God wants to do with that, that'd be really exciting. But, you know, I'm also patient with, like, what his plan is.
Right.
But there's so much, like, heartache that comes with wanting others to follow Jesus and thinking that it's so close, you know?
Yeah.
And then not getting discouraged. Do you have any tricks for not getting discouraged at 14, 15 years old? Like, what's Bennett go to you when you're starting to feel discouraged so you don't stay low?
I don't know. I think that I don't think I have, like, the healthiest response always. I think my first instinct is just to, like, disconnect and, like, when I get disappointed in somebody, to just, like, ignore that there ever was disappointment. But
so what are some of the new healthier things you're trying?
I've been a lot more active, like, praying for real things instead of just, like, praying, like, when I'm upset, or, like, praying, like I would pray, but I've been having more real, like, it's been more like a conversation. Like, I've been trying to, like, go to God with things that I'm dealing with instead of just, like, being like, oh, he knows.
Does it feel different when you actually say those things to him?
Yeah, it does, because when there's things that are, like, hard to bring up or, like, hard to deal with out loud, it's, like, better to just, like, deal with them with God first and then figure it out with, like, my parents or with my friends. And I mean, obviously that's helpful, but, like, I think that's been helpful for me.
Yeah. What brings you the most joy right now?
I don't know.
What makes you the most happy? Maybe happy is, like, too surface level.
Yeah, I know. I think, I don't know if this will make sense, but when, like, at the beginning of the year, I had classes with all of my friends, and I had really, like, a good schedule. And then when the second semester started, I, like, lost some of my fun classes and kind of got some more, like, difficult ones, or, like, ones that were, like, harder to get through. And, like, I don't have lunch with very many of my friends anymore. So now it's, like, whenever I get to see Kenzie or whenever I get to see Lydia or Lila, that's always exciting because, like,
yeah,
I don't get to see them as much anymore.
What do you look forward to every week?
I look forward to Pulse a lot because it just feels like everybody's in, like, the same boat as me, even if they're not. Like, it's just, like people my age who are, like they're here because they want to be.
Yeah. There's something special about that.
Yeah.
There's something special about I want you to talk also about, we skipped this, but tell me about FCA. What is it, and what's your role, and is it something that you serve in, or has it been beneficial to you too?
I think it's both. So FCA is Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and it's run not through the school, but by like a couple teachers at the school. And I'm one of the leaders, which is not very common for a freshman to be a leader, but they asked me to because Ava Smith had brought me up. So there's 6 leaders. I thought about this yesterday. There's 2 seniors, 2 juniors, 3 seniors, 2 juniors, a sophomore, and me.
Who are they all?
Addie
Lanahan,
Sophie Sanders, Kedzie Awerda, her dad is the sponsor, Ayla Phillips, Peyton Valentine, and Brady Babington.
Yeah.
And it's not had like a big impact on me, but like it is interesting to like balance that, because I've always like, people know like I love Jesus and like I know like I go to church, but they all know like very surface level because nobody understands what it is. But
Sure.
then once I like combine school and then like a club that's like a church club is how it's like thought of, I guess. Like that's where like I just kind of had to decide like I can't like put this off. Like I had like this, like I had to like
invest.
Yeah, and I had to like make sure I wasn't like playing it like down, like, oh, it's just like this thing we like meet up sometimes. I got to be like,
You had to like give it the respect it was due.
yes.
So here's the hard part. Like, I wonder if this will help you put words to it at all. At student ministry, you're a part of Pulse and you're a part of worship, but you're getting something out of it.
Yes.
You got Carter, you got Rochelle there, you got Adrian, you got your friends that you don't see all week,
Right.
you know? And so you get your cup filled up. Like you come home in a good mood after student ministry.
Yeah.
You know, you're like you come home almost as excited as you do after like a good volleyball practice.
Yeah.
You know, it like hits the same.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
But at FCA, that program's still very much in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to feel like, man, I got to invest in this.
Yeah. Because right now it's so thrown together, and since it's through the school, it can't be like...
Because it's not through the school yet.
Right. It's like just like the school lets us do it, and they let us like talk to the 8th graders at 8th grade like open house, but it's very much like it can't be in the announcements and you can't have a classroom because it's like you can't combine religion in school. And next year we found out they're going to like make it an actual club, which is really exciting because it'll be on the announcements. We'll have a Google Classroom.
It'll be in the yearbook.
Like it'll be put out. Yeah. So that's really exciting, and that'll kind of, I guess that'll make it feel a little more real. Because right now it's just like a meeting every couple weeks, and then it's like we'll do huddles, which is like anybody's invited, and there's anywhere from like 6 to 30 kids.
Right.
And it's
like, pretty broad.
Yeah. So it's just like we'll meet in the morning, we'll meet at night, and we'll bring donuts, and it's just nice to like get a little message, but not always feel like it's a whole church service.
Yeah, and you spoke there once.
Yeah, I did. And I spoke on Matthew 6, and because I've heard like a couple sermons about that, and I really liked all of them, and I was like, I'll just pick things from that and just make my own.
Do you remember what it was in Matthew, Sermon on the Mount? So
yeah, it was about, I think it was verse 25 through 34, and it's about like anxiety, like don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will have enough worry of its own. Or tomorrow will deal for itself, each day has enough worry of its own, or whatever the verse is.
Yeah.
And it really like resided with me, because I remember some of the verses are like, God like clothed the sparrow, or like what, like, you know, the ones about, like, or about the lilies.
Yeah, if he dresses the lilies with, I'm thinking of the song now, with beauty and splendor.
Yeah.
Like how much more does he love you?
Yeah.
If he watches over every sparrow.
And I guess what I kind of got from it is like I always knew like I was like loved and taken care of, but it's like feels like a comfort more to know that like I don't have to worry, or like I don't have to be afraid of like what people think or like what tomorrow's going to look like, because it's out of my hands.
And that is comforting?
Yeah. So I was like speaking to myself as much as I was speaking to like the 15 kids that were there.
Yeah. Yeah. What's I want to do something here as we like get close to wrapping up.
Okay.
What's something that you would want adults to know about being a freshman and trying to follow Jesus that we might not know? Like what we should pay attention to, what we should do, anything.
Coming into freshman year, last summer was hard, because if like beginning of the summer to like the middle, I like kind of like was disconnected, and like I didn't have the same friendships I had, and like I felt like really alone. I was sad, and I mean nobody, like I didn't like sulk, like I didn't talk about it, but I was like sad, and I felt pretty lonely. And then
Over the summer?
Yeah. And then towards the end of the summer, I like did not want to go to school, because I was really nervous that high school would be harder than it was at junior high, which it is. But it was also kind of refreshing when I started school that like it was better than I thought. Like it was really like it was fun, and it didn't really feel like school. And like there were hard things about it, but it was like it was a really nice first semester. And the second semester like was harder mentally, because I didn't have volleyball, and I didn't have the same friends I did, and I like dealt with some other things, and I think a lot of people wouldn't have recognized how hard it is to be public about your faith in public school, because I didn't even really think about it, because like I said earlier, like what I was trying to get into was like 8th grade was so easy compared to this, and I didn't know. Like my biggest fear, like stress, was like, why am I not playing on this volleyball team? Like, which is silly, because like I don't know, people like deal with real things now, and I didn't really before, and I don't think people realize like the mental fight so many kids are in.
Yeah.
For all different things. Something I talked about in my what we were talking about earlier at FCA, what I talked about, I said a bunch like, you don't have to worry what people think of you. And I remember after, like, I just was like, everybody worries what people think of them. And then my teacher after, he was like, is that something you guys actually struggle with? Like, is that like that big of a thing that you worry that much about what people think about how you look or how you act? And everybody in the class like nodded and was like, yes, like that's that's what every student deals with. And I don't know, I just thought like, well, like I knew everybody would worry. I didn't think like that I almost found like community in is like those kids are choosing to come to school early, and they're all dealing with the same thing I was dealing with, even if it's at different levels.
Yeah. And
I didn't really realize that until then. And I don't think
Does that make it not easier, but more like not so alone?
Yeah, that changed the way I think about some things, because I care what people think. Obviously, like I care a lot about people's view on me, but it's a lot different now. Like I really care like if people know like who I really am, and not like just think I'm fun.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause that's like, an important one to you. What's God think of you?
Well, I don't know. I think God knows all about me, so he doesn't like wonder. Like I'm always the same, like in front of God. Like he knows all of it. But like, you know.
Does that feel comforting?
Yeah, because I don't have to like explain it like to everybody else. Like I've told I I don't open up to a lot of people. Like, I'll talk to, like, my parents, or, like, I'll talk to my Aunt B more now, or, like, I'd talk to my friends about, like, the things they would understand. But there's a lot of things that people just, like, don't really get, and then there's things, like...
Where would I start explaining?
Yeah, and, like, the biggest thing I worried about is, like, how would they look at me differently? Because I try really hard to, like...
Oh, like, if you struggle, how would they look at me differently?
Yeah, because that's what the stress is with my friends, is, like, I feel responsible for them in ways, like, they can't know that I struggle with the same things they struggle with.
Do you think that's the Holy Spirit, or do you think that's a lie from the enemy?
I think that's a lie. I know, but that's what I would deal with most with them.
Right.
Is, like, I don't know.
If you were talking to another 14-year-old girl who wants to follow Jesus and loves the Lord, what would you tell her? Like, do this. Go do this. This is what you need.
I would say it's really important that you're telling other people about what you have, because I was really lucky to be raised in it, and, like, I've always been told it. But, like, there's not a lot of people that get to be raised in a church and get to be, like, so, like, filled up all the time. And, like, I have so many people that care about me and how my day went, but not everybody has that. So I think just, like, be the people that you have, be that for somebody else, and then, like, find somebody who's equal to you.
Yeah.
I have one friend, her name's Tessa, and she's very much, like, in the same boat as me. And so, like, it's easy to just, like, I don't have to worry. Like, I worry what she thinks, obviously, but I don't worry what, like, if she thinks it's weird that I'm going to youth group, or, like,
there's a little bit
like
more
that.
background, like, support there.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you encourage her back?
I hope so. I hope so. She's really easy to invite. It's not easy to invite everybody to church, but it's easy to be like, are you going to be at Pulse? Kind of, it feels more like accountability than it is, like, please come.
Sure.
Because I want her there for her,
like
obviously.
Two equals, like, rubbing on each other.
Yeah.
And Michaela's come along in that. It's been fun to watch her grow and mature and watch her worship. It's a weird thing to watch my girl lead another student that I love in worship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and I was pretty honest when you shared at FCA, like, that's a heavy load I carry all the time. Like, it's such a responsibility, and I'm preaching to myself, and I feel like a hypocrite, like I don't have all this stuff figured out, and what if people knew, you know?
Right.
And it's, what's something else you would tell, and then I'll move on, and we'll start to wrap up. What's one, like 3 quick things. If you're a 14-year-old freshman girl, 15-year-old freshman girl, here's what I think you should do to have a more healthy following of Jesus in your life. So you'd say, like, be a good community to people around you was one of the things you said.
Yeah.
And then try to find that in somebody else.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that you have to choose it every day, which is something I've struggled with. Is, like, it's really easy to choose it when you're emotionally, like, ready. But then, like, the next day when you have to go, like, it was
By
really
choose
easy.
it, you mean, like, dependency on God.
Yeah. Like, surrendering is what I've been working on. It's just, like, not carrying everything myself. So, like, I went, like, when I'm at camp, when I'm at our winter retreat, it's really easy to be like, God has it all. But then when I come home and I go to school on the Monday, then it's harder.
Yeah.
To, like,
I think people feel that every age. I think people feel that every Sunday.
Yeah.
And they leave here amped at noon, and then Monday hits, and they're like, how am I going to make it to Sunday?
Yeah.
You know? Do you see that?
Yes.
You know? It's been, like, eye-opening, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to talk to you, I would say, like, it gets better. Like, it's not always this lonely.
Yeah.
Like, man, I've gone through lonely seasons, but there's all of a sudden you make, and I started praying for a friendship, you know, and I've told you that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I prayed for Doug,
Yeah.
And I asked Doug to be my friend. It was the most embarrassing thing in my life because I was like, would you be my friend that I would talk to once a month? And then I just had a friend ask me the same thing, you know, a friend that you know, like, and he's like, I just need another friend that understands. Would you be that friend? And I was like, I feel that responsibility. And yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, because God's so good. You said a really neat thing. We were talking about, like, why is it so hard to read your Bible? And you're like, well, it's not hard when I'm low, you know, and really need God. But you said it's been hard to pray and read the same. Do you remember that? Just like maybe a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
And you and I were talking, we remembered the same thing that John had said in that sermon this summer, where it was like, it's never a checklist in a relationship where you check a box and get a relationship, you know? But sometimes it's a checklist. Sometimes I discipline myself to spend time with God even when I don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's been something really special to watch in you. And so I'd just say, don't lose heart. Yeah. Like, you're climbing out of, like, in my opinion, one of the toughest seasons you've gone through to date. And God has been faithful in pulling you along and pulling you through and giving you purpose. And I just think it's beautiful to watch you mature. Like, it's so beautiful to watch you, grow and change and be a light to your friends and, like, let our family love on friends and, you know, not just be the strict parents, but to be a house that loves well.
Yeah.
You know, I hope your friends feel that.
Yes. I think you said something about Michaela earlier and, like, how Michaela has had, like, the best response out of any of my friends. Like, a lot of girls have figured it out, but Michaela obviously is going to, like, struggle with things, but she, like
we all do. Yeah.
Right. But she's the one that, like, I can tell understands and isn't going to just, like, quit when it gets hard.
Right.
And so, like, when you asked me earlier, like, do you ever get, like, discouraged? Like, when I get discouraged, I think about, like, how far Michaela's come. Like, not, like...
how much God's done in her life.
Yeah, like, not like I'm putting it on her, of course, but, like, it just, like, I'm doing it so I can see more stories like that.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah. I'm proud of you, Benny. You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Love you.
Love
All
you.
right. I'm going to have you pray. You comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Did you feel way more than you thought you were going to feel through this?
I figured I was going to be, like, in my feels, but I was, like, about it, like, with different things than I thought I would.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know where we were going until we sat down.
Yeah, me neither.
So we're in the same boat. I kind of like this. Maybe we'll talk with Mom and we'll get microphones out and put headphones on.
Yeah.
And then we can record our family hangouts.
Yeah, we should do that.
Can I have you pray?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dear God, I thank you for all that you've done in my life and through me in my friend's life. I pray that you just keep working, God, and that you keep working in this church, and that you keep working, and that you have more stories like Michaela's. And I pray that you keep working in me, and I thank you for all that you've done. In Jesus' name, amen.
God, we just thank you so much for who you are and what you've done, and how close you are when we go through really hard seasons. And so, God, as a dad, I don't like it when I see my girls hurt or go through hard things. And yet I know it's in some of those moments that it's where they learn the most about drawing near to you and being dependent on you and letting you lead and letting you carry in their lives. And so, God, give me wisdom to be a good dad, and give Bennett wisdom to follow you well and to feel peace. Lord, there's so much joy. And at the same time, my heart breaks for students, for freshmen and sophomores and juniors and seniors and junior high students. And it's such a hard place, like, to be in public school. It's such a hard place to face the things that they face every day. So God, I pray for your Spirit to sweep through our student ministry, for there to be revival, and for you to grow up these young men and young women into future leaders in your local church. And God, I just anticipate and look forward to all that you're doing and all that you're going to do next. And we're grateful for what's already been done. I'm thankful for Benny. Thank you for her sweet, sweet heart. Thank you for her vulnerability and her willingness to share really challenging things. And I pray that you just be her encourager, that you be her guide, that you be the loving embrace that she needs to spur her on, Lord. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Not so bad?
No.
No? Hey, if you were going to invite somebody to student ministry, when would you tell them to come?
Right now.
Yeah, when is it?
Oh, I thought you meant when in their life. What do you mean, when is it? Like next week on Sunday?
Right.
Yeah, Sunday nights.
What time?
6:30 to 8.
Where?
Here.
At?
The Village Christian Church.
In?
Minooka on Bell Road, next to BC Bank.
Good job. All right. Yeah, come join us. Come hang out with Benny. Worship with Benny. Are you worshiping next time?
I think so.
When student ministry return? Is it on the 30th?
Yeah, it's next week.
Okay, March 30th. Join us. If this doesn't go out, it's every Sunday night through Mother's Day. Then we wrap for summer, all right? So join us at student ministry, or join us at one of our physical campuses, or join us online. We're so glad that you joined us. Until next time on another great story.
Thank you so much for joining us for another great story. Make sure to click that subscribe button so you never miss our latest stories. And if you are in the market for a great church home, check us out at thevillagechristianchurch.com. We've got more great stories ahead, and we can't wait for you to hear them all. So until next time, keep living another great story.